Carter Webb shoved Mia Reeves hard against the locker, sending her crashing to the tile floor of Lincoln High's main hallway. Her leather jacket slid across the ground as notebooks scattered everywhere. "Welcome to Lincoln High, new meat," Carter sneered, his voice carrying over the noise of shuffling students. Nearly 150 kids stood watching, some recording, others just frozen in place. Mia Reeves slowly pushed herself up, brushing off her jeans without a word. But in 15 minutes, Carter Webb would realize he had just made the worst mistake of his entitled life. Because the girl he had just knocked down wasn't defenseless. She was the daughter of the most feared biker gang leader in 3 states, and her family had just arrived in town. The morning fog hung heavy over Lincoln High School, a sprawling public institution on the edge of Portland that served both wealthy suburbs and working-class neighborhoods. Students arrived in everything from BMWs to beat-up Hondas, creating a complex social hierarchy based more on attitude than actual wealth. Among them, Mia Reeves walked quietly toward the entrance, her worn leather jacket bearing patches that most students didn't recognize. At first glance, she seemed like just another transfer student, quiet, keeping to herself, trying to stay invisible. What nobody noticed was the way she carried herself. Her movements were economical and precise, her eyes constantly scanning her surroundings with the kind of awareness that comes from growing up in a world where vigilance means survival. A small patch on her jacket showed a skull with crossed pistons, but it was positioned on the back where only someone walking behind her would see it clearly. Carter Webb was Lincoln High's undisputed king. As quarterback of the varsity team and son of the district's wealthiest real estate developer, he had built his reputation on intimidation and his father's checkbook. His dark hair was styled perfectly, his designer clothes announcing his status before he even opened his mouth. Walking beside him was his constant shadow, Devin Price, built like a linebacker and twice as mean. "Fresh blood," Devin muttered, nodding toward Mia as she navigated the crowded hallway. Carter's cold gray eyes locked onto the new girl immediately. Something about her quiet confidence irritated him. In his world, new students, especially ones who looked like they shopped at thrift stores, were supposed to know their place immediately. Mia Reeves hadn't even acknowledged his existence. The collision happened near the main entrance, where morning traffic was at its peak. Carter deliberately stepped into Mia's path, using his 6'1" frame to block her way. "You lost?" he said loudly, making sure his audience could hear. Mia looked up at him with steady green eyes. "No, just trying to get to homeroom." She moved to step around him. That's when Carter made his move. He grabbed her shoulder and shoved her backward with enough force to send her, sprawling. Her backpack flew open, spilling notebooks and a phone across the floor. The watching students formed a loose circle, phones appearing instantly. But something was off about the way Mia fell. Instead of crying out or looking scared, she caught herself smoothly and came up in a low crouch, her weight balanced perfectly. For just a moment, she looked like someone who had been in far worse situations. Then she simply started gathering her things, her movements controlled and efficient. "That's what happens when you don't watch where you're going," Carter announced, soaking up the nervous laughter from the crowd. As Mia collected her belongings, several students noticed something strange. She wasn't shaking, wasn't upset, wasn't even breathing hard. Her hands were completely steady as she picked up her phone and checked it carefully before sliding it into her pocket. "Cat got your tongue?" Devin stepped closer, trying to intimidate her. Mia glanced at him, then back at Carter. For a brief moment, they felt something cold pass between them. Then Mia walked away, her footsteps silent. The incident should have ended there. In Carter's world, a public humiliation like that usually set the tone. New students would apologize, blend in, and spend the rest of the year grateful for his attention. But Mia didn't follow the script. During history class, she answered questions with a quiet confidence that made Mr. Patterson raise an eyebrow. When asked about loyalty, Mia's response was so thoughtful that even Carter found himself listening. "Loyalty isn't blind obedience," Mia said. "It's standing up for those who stand up for you. It's about family, protecting each other when the world gets tough." Carter shifted uncomfortably, her words feeling more like a warning than a class discussion. At lunch, Carter decided Mia needed to learn her place. The cafeteria was divided by social groups, and Mia sat alone near the windows, eating and sketching. Carter approached with Devon and Vanessa Park, a girl who prided herself on making others' lives difficult. "Look who's sitting alone," Carter said, sliding into the seat across from Mia. "The famous falling act from this morning." Mia didn't look up, continuing to eat and sketch. "I'm talking to you," Carter said, his voice growing sharper. "I heard you," Mia replied calmly. "I'm just not interested." Devon laughed. "Listen to Little Miss Attitude." Vanessa leaned forward, her smile sharp. "Mia, you should be careful who you disrespect. Carter runs this school." Mia finally looked up, her green eyes slowly moving from Vanessa to Devon to Carter. "Is that so?" "Exactly so," Carter said, spreading his hands. "You made a big mistake this morning, refusing to apologize. But I'm feeling generous. Here's the deal. You do my chemistry homework for the semester, and I'll make sure no one bothers you." "And if I refuse?" Mia asked. Carter's smile turned cold. "Then your life at Lincoln becomes very difficult. Lost homework, damaged property, rumors that spread like wildfire. You get the picture." Mia nodded slowly, as if considering. "What happened to the last person who refused you?" "Smart question," Devon said. "Kid named Jamie transferred out last year. Couldn't handle the pressure." "I see," Mia said quietly. She pulled out her phone and quickly typed something before setting it face down on the table. "So you're threatening me?" "I'm offering you protection," Carter corrected. "There's a difference." "Not really," Mia said. She stood up, gathering her things. "I'm going to pass on your offer." Carter's face darkened. "Wrong choice, new girl." As Mia walked away, none of them noticed she had been recording the entire conversation on her phone. They also didn't see her pause near the exit to send a quick text message. The message was simple. "Day 1, situation confirmed. Standard protocol." The afternoon brought escalation. During gym class, someone accidentally knocked Mia's clothes out of her locker into a puddle. Her textbooks disappeared from her next class, only to be found torn apart in the trash. By the end of the school day, it was clear Carter had put the word out. But Mia didn't react the way Carter expected. She didn't complain to teachers, didn't cry, didn't even seem particularly bothered. She simply documented everything with her phone, taking photos, recording timestamps, and making notes. After school, she stayed late in the library, apparently working on homework. In reality, she was observing. She noted which students were part of Carter's crew, who seemed to be previous victims, and where the school's security cameras were positioned. As she packed up to leave, her phone buzzed with a text from Carter. "Hope you've changed your mind. Tomorrow's going to be rough if you haven't." Mia screenshot the message and added it to a growing folder. Then she made a phone call. "Dad," she said when the call connected. "It started, just like the last school." The voice on the other end was deep and rough, like gravel in a cement mixer. "You okay, kiddo?" "I'm fine, just documenting everything like you taught me." "Good girl. Remember, we don't start trouble, but we sure as hell finish it. Let me know when you need us." Mia ended the call and walked out to the parking lot. A sleek black motorcycle sat waiting, her helmet hanging from the handlebars. As she rode home, She didn't notice the two other bikes that fell in behind her at a discreet distance, her shadows, her protection. At home, Mia sat at her desk, opening her laptop. On the screen were detailed notes about each incident, complete with photos, recordings, and timestamps. Her father, Marcus Reaper Reeves, had moved them 4 times in 3 years, always staying ahead of trouble while trying to give Mia a normal life. But normal was hard when your dad was the president of the Iron Skulls Motorcycle Club. Though the club wasn't a criminal gang, people assumed it was. It was a brotherhood of veterans, mechanics, and working-class men who protected their community. And that reputation made people nervous. Mia had learned early that being different, especially with bikers for parents, made her a target. Some saw her as dangerous, while others, like Carter Webb, saw her as weak and an easy victim. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, tension filled the air. Carter strutted through the halls like a general, making sure everyone knew today was the day the new girl would learn her lesson. Mia arrived at 7:30, not alone. Walking beside her was Riley Chen, a junior who had been one of Carter's victims. Riley had reached out to Mia the night before, warning her about Carter. "He's going to come at you hard," Riley said quietly. "He doesn't like being defied." "I've dealt with guys like Carter," Mia replied calmly. "Maybe, but you don't know how far he'll go. His dad owns half the school board. Teachers are scared." Mia nodded. "What about the principal?" "Principal Morrison? He's useless. Complaints against Carter just disappear." The confrontation came during 3rd period in the hallway. Carter positioned himself in Mia's path, flanked by Devin and 3 football players. The hallway began to clear as students sensed trouble. "Decision time, new girl," Carter said loudly. "Are you going to be smart, or are we going to have a problem?" Mia stopped but didn't back down. "I told you yesterday, I'm not interested." "Wrong answer," Devin growled. Carter grabbed her arm, trying to drag her toward a classroom. But Mia twisted her arm free with ease and sidestepped so quickly that Carter stumbled forward, off balance. "Don't touch me," Mia said, her voice sharp. Carter spun around, his face red. "You just made this so much worse." He lunged at Mia, but she ducked under his reach, planted her feet, and used his momentum to send him crashing into the lockers. Devin charged next, but Mia swept his legs out from under him, leaving him confused on the floor. The hallway erupted in whispers, and the sound of phones recording. Carter struggled to his feet, his disheveled hair matching the rage in his eyes. "You're done," he snarled. "You just assaulted me in front of witnesses. My father will have you arrested and expelled by tomorrow." Mia pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. Carter's voice filled the hallway, crystal clear. "Lost homework, damaged property, rumors that spread like wildfire. Then your life at Lincoln becomes very difficult." The crowd gasped. Carter's face went pale. "That's illegal," Vanessa stammered. "You can't record people without permission." "Oregon is a one-party consent state," Mia said calmly. "I can legally record any conversation I'm part of, and I've been recording everything since I got here." She tapped her phone again, and more audio played. This time it was Devin's voice. "Kid named Jamie transferred out last year. Couldn't handle the pressure." "I've also got documentation of every incident from yesterday," Mia continued. "The destroyed textbooks, the locker incident, the threatening texts. All saved, all backed up, all ready to be turned over to the police if necessary." Carter backed away, his confidence crumbling. "Where did you get the idea to do all this?" "My father taught me," Mia said simply. "He taught me that bullies only win when good people don't fight back. He taught me to document everything, to never throw the first punch, and to always be prepared." "Your father?" Devin wheezed from the floor. "Who cares about your father?" The main doors at the end of the hallway suddenly swung open. The sound of heavy boots on tile floor made everyone turn. 6 men in leather vests walked down the hallway in formation. They were all over 6 feet tall, covered in tattoos, with the kind of presence that made the air feel heavier. Leading them was a mountain of a man with a gray beard and steel-gray eyes identical to Mia's. His leather vest bore a patch that read President and the name Reaper beneath it. The Iron Skull's logo was prominently displayed on his back. Marcus Reeves walked slowly down the hallway, his boots echoing with each step. The students parted like water, pressing themselves against the lockers. Even the teachers who had come out to investigate the commotion took an involuntary step back. "Mia," Marcus said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "You okay?" "I'm fine, Dad," Mia replied. "Just had a situation with some students who don't understand the word no." Marcus's eyes moved slowly from Carter to Devin to the other football players, and every single one of them found somewhere else to look. "That's so?" he said quietly. The quiet was somehow more terrifying than if he had shouted. "It's a misunderstanding," Carter stammered, trying to find his courage. "My father is Richard Webb, the real estate developer," Marcus finished. "I know who your father is. And you know what? I don't care. Your daddy's money doesn't impress me. His connections don't scare me. Because here's what you're going to understand. You put your hands on my daughter." The hallway was absolutely silent. Even the phones had stopped recording, though Marcus noticed several and nodded approvingly. "Good. Get all this on camera. I want there to be no confusion about what happens next." He stepped closer to Carter, and the quarterback physically shrank. "My daughter came to this school trying to have a normal life. She didn't ask for trouble. She didn't start this. But you decided to make her your target because you thought she was alone and weak." Marcus glanced back at his crew, then returned his attention to Carter. "She's not alone. She's never alone. The Iron Skulls Motorcycle Club is a family. We're veterans, mechanics, and working men. We pay our taxes, we follow the law, and we protect our own. My daughter is our own." "We didn't know," Devin whispered. "You didn't ask," Marcus corrected. "You saw a girl in a leather jacket and made assumptions. Here's what's going to happen now. You're going to leave my daughter alone. You're going to leave every other student you've been terrorizing alone. And if I hear even a whisper that you've caused problems for anyone at this school, we're going to have another conversation. Do you understand me?" Carter nodded frantically. "I said, do you understand me?" Marcus's voice dropped even lower. "Yes, sir," Carter said quickly. "We understand." "Good." Marcus straightened up, addressing the students. "The Iron Skulls don't start fights, but we protect our people. If you're being bullied or threatened, come to us. We're not vigilantes, but we're a family that looks after this community." He handed Riley a business card. "Here's the address for our community center. We offer after-school programs, self-defense classes, and support groups, free for anyone who needs it." Ghost, a biker with tattoos, stepped forward. "I run the self-defense program. If anyone wants to learn how to protect themselves, you're welcome." Preacher, another biker with a gray ponytail, added, "I run the counseling groups. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to." Marcus placed a hand on Mia's shoulder. "My daughter's been through 4 schools because of kids like you," he said, looking directly at Carter. "Bullies who think they can get away with everything because of money and connections, but not this time. We're making a stand. Every kid here needs to know they don't have to be afraid." Principal Morrison arrived with security guards. "What's going on here?" Marcus turned to him. "Can't check on my daughter after she was assaulted? I think I can do that." Morrison weakly replied, "There are proper channels." "Proper channels?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You mean the complaints against Carter that mysteriously disappeared after donations?" Morrison's face turned pale. Mia pulled out her phone and showed him the evidence. "I found 23 complaints about Carter and his friends, all dismissed after donations. Looks like hush money." Marcus cut him off. We have everything. Recordings, photos, witnesses. We're filing a formal complaint with the school board and the police. The police? Carter's voice cracked. You put your hands on my daughter. That's assault. I've already contacted a lawyer. If this isn't handled properly, we'll file a lawsuit. Riley stepped forward, shaking but firm. I'll testify. He did the same thing to me last year. Other students spoke up, sharing their experiences. Marcus pulled Morrison aside. This ends today. Do your job, or we'll make sure everyone knows you've been covering for Carter. Morrison looked at the students, recording phones and bikers. I'll start an investigation. Good, Marcus said. He turned to Carter. And you stay away from my daughter and the other kids. If you don't, I'll let the law handle it. Carter nodded quickly, his arrogance gone. He and Devin left with their crew. As the crowd began to disperse, students came up to Mia. Some thanked her, others asked about the self-defense classes. Riley stayed close. Thank you, she whispered. I've been scared of him for so long. You don't have to be scared anymore, Mia said. Bullies only have power if we let them. Marcus smiled. You did great, kiddo. You didn't throw the first punch, documented everything, and stood your ground. Learned from the best, Mia said with a small smile. Axel, one of the bikers, approached Riley. You should come by the gym. You've got good instincts. Riley was surprised. You train with bikers? They're my family, Mia replied. My dad taught me self-defense when I was 6, not to fight, but to protect myself and others. Ghost spoke up. The Iron Skulls aren't a gang, we're a brotherhood. We protect our community, especially the kids. Preacher added, Our community center runs programs every day, self-defense, tutoring, counseling, and more. Every kid deserves a safe place. In the days that followed, things at Lincoln High changed. Carter and Devin were suspended. Principal Morrison was put on leave. Most importantly, students who had been silent began to speak up. The Iron Skulls Community Center saw a huge increase in attendance. Riley became a regular, along with other students. They learned self-defense and found real support. Mia finally felt safe. For the first time in years, she wasn't looking over her shoulder. She had real friends who understood her. 3 weeks later, Carter came to Mia's locker. I'm not here to start trouble, he said, holding up his hands. I just wanted to apologize. What I did was wrong. The way I treated you and everyone else was wrong. Mia nodded. I appreciate that. I hope military school helps you figure things out. Riley asked, Do you think he means it? Maybe, Mia said. Sometimes people need to hit rock bottom before they change. And if not, then that's his problem. We did our part. We stood up. We protected ourselves and helped others. That's all we can do. As the school year went on, Lincoln High transformed. The fear Carter had spread began to fade. Students felt safer, and the Iron Skulls Community Center became a second home for many. Mia's phone buzzed with a text from her father. Proud of you, kiddo. You're making a real difference. She smiled and typed back, Learned from the best. Family first. As she walked through the hallways, students nodded to her. Some smiled. Others asked about the community center. Mia knew she wasn't alone. Anymore. Neither was anyone else. Sometimes standing up to a bully takes more than courage. It takes family, documentation, and knowing you don't have to face the world alone. And sometimes, having a biker gang in your corner helps. Mia's leather jacket wasn't just fashion. It was armor, a reminder that she came from a family that protected their own and stood up for those who couldn't. And that made all the difference.